sensitive joke.
Rick, hold on. I can't see. Hold the funny. Hold the funny, Rick.
Hold the funny.
Don't waste any of this comedy gold.
Comedy gold. We only have it when the lights are turned on and the camera's rolling. Other than that, we're boring as spit on the sidewalk of life. At least he is.
A bunch of the comments are like, we know. Welcome back to our Stupid Reactions Idiots. I'm Corbin.
I'm Funky.
And you can follow us on
Instagram
and Twitter for more juicy content.
It's so juicy.
Follow us on our official Patreon and on our official Twitter account.
It's one of my favorite things about pigeons.
What?
They're funky, man. Everywhere they walk. So,
Yeah, that's dumb.
no, it's true. I love pigeons.
No, I'm saying that sentence.
Your existence.
Ring the bell to report the notification squad. Today!
You're ringing that like a pigeon.
Shut up, Rick. We are doing a movie review.
Was I supposed to watch a movie?
Same joke as last time.
Uh-huh.
Even funnier.
Is it about stand-up comedy? Because if it is...
I can't, yes, shut up. And it is called Udan, or Udan?
Udan.
Udan. I call it Udan.
I think that's a...
You see that movie, Udan?
You don't see that film from India called Udan?
That's a good one.
That one's a knee slapper.
Anyways, yes, finally watched it.
That film right there, Parenting 101.
Oh, yes, definitely. We actually watched the trailer for this over 9 months ago.
And that's all we're doing here. We're actually giving you a review based on our memory of that trailer from 9 months ago.
Read the synopsis for me.
Expelled from his school, a 16-year-old boy returns home to his abusive and oppressive father. That sounds like a fun time for the whole family.
Especially the dad.
Yeah, I thought he was 17, by the way.
Directed by, say his name.
Let me move a little. There we go. So there's the whole spelling. Vikram You just...
Sorry. Go on.
Vikramaditya Motwani.
Who was somebody on Queen as well, and somebody on Devdas, not obviously the director.
No, that was Sanjay Leela Bhansali.
Sanjay Leela Bhansali. But also, this was written by the wonderful and talented Anirudh Kashyap and produced as well.
Yeah, so it was a collaboration of, there was a trifecta of writers, wasn't it?
Yes, and obviously we've heard a ton about this from either Stupid Babies. I did a poll. This won the poll, which is why we reviewed it. Also, the 10 best films of the past decade.
Correct.
I think that...
What was his name? I don't remember his name, but we reacted to his list.
This was his number one of the past...
Was it his number one?
Decade, yeah. Of the past decade.
More than Dahoon 3, wasn't it?
Yes.
Crazy.
But, 100% spoiler review. Came out in 2010. Sorry.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen it...
Go see it.
Go see it. And then come back and hear our review.
So we'll break it down into different groups, but... Yes, Rick. Initial thoughts.
Initial thoughts. R-S-T-A-Q. Those are my initial...
Yes. Now, initial thoughts on the film.
Oh, on the film.
Yes.
Loved it.
Yeah.
There's pretty much there's not much to not like about this thing. It's just a really, really...
really well-made film.
Really well-made film.
And also like a powerful... It's essentially a coming-of-age story.
Very much.
But a very, I'd say, unique coming-of-age story, because it's not like... Coming-of-age stories usually have to, finding love, finding stuff. This is about finding his own person and getting away from his abusive...
Correct.
Father.
Yeah, in fact, I can't even find or think of a parallel film comparable to it. Not that I need to. I just, it's definitely a coming-of-age film. Mm-hmm. It's definitely touching on a subject that's a big deal all over the place, but we know this is a big deal in India.
Yeah. The whole time I was watching it, I was like, this seems very personal.
Very personal.
I'm hoping not all of India, but I'm sure a lot of people who have really strict fathers.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it's not this extensive for a lot of people. I really hope, but I know it probably is for a lot.
No, but there's been a theme throughout all of our movie watching, it started with Three Idiots. And it gets touched upon all the time. And it's this patriarchal, domineering, loveless relationship between a lot of fathers and sons.
Yeah.
That's pretty sad.
Breaks my heart.
Yeah, it's really sad. But before we get into the subject matter, as it were, just on the technical merits alone, let's just talk about, first of all, I don't know if you all can appreciate, you may, but for those of you who don't appreciate what it means for an actor as young as Rohan, Rajat Barmecha, is that how you pronounce his name? For an actor, I don't know that he's the age of the character, but he's a young man who, was he introduced? Was this his first film?
It might have been.
Because it said introducing, and my suspicion is it's him. For someone at his age to carry a film.
He did a short film in 2010.
Okay.
Let's say this is
so for a relatively inexperienced actor to carry a film where you're the lead,
do it well.
Yeah, and it's your story, and it's a film that has no bells and whistles. It's pretty just raw.
And I heard they also filmed it in, like, the Stupid Babies said they filmed it in, like, their friend's backyard, some of the scenes.
Okay.
And so it's a very, like, bare bones.
Very basic bare bones. When you're that young, I mean, any actor, one of the hardest things, and it's why we applaud actors so often like Nawazuddin and Irfan, because one of the hardest things for an actor to do is to turn off performing. Because especially if you're a younger actor, when you're a seasoned veteran, you don't feel like you need to prove anything. Because you don't. You know you're doing your work. And there's a sense of confidence. For a young actor who's getting his first leading role, to not perform is impressive.
He gave off, right when he came on the screen and as it was going along, he gave off Miles Teller vibes to me.
I didn't think that at the time, but I can see why you'd say that.
Yeah, I mean, he looks similar, but he also just gave off vibes that Miles Teller, he's a really good actor.
If you don't know who that is, see Whiplash.
Oh, just go see that now. That film's amazing.
Phenomenal.
Anyways, but yeah, he gave off those vibes, and sometimes I feel like it's better to, I don't know if he was an actor, if they just kind of, this happened before in old Hollywood where people go to like malls and pick out somebody who just fits the bill.
Yeah.
And sometimes
that's Satyajit Rai's style. That was his thing to do, and sometimes it works. Like I mentioned this film a lot, The Florida Project. The lead girl in that never acted a day in her life, and she's mesmerizing.
Which is why it works, because they're not acting.
Right.
They don't know.
They don't have any bad habits yet.
They don't know the tricks.
Right.
Even though, like, tricks are bad.
Exactly.
So they're not really tricks.
Exactly.
But, like, so sometimes it's even better, and he gave off those vibes.
He did.
And, you know, who else did really well? The
dad.
Phenomenal
Job.
I don't know who this man is. I don't think we've seen him in anything else. But
brilliant.
I hated him.
Yep.
And you're supposed to. Now, I didn't hate his acting. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
no. Yeah,
I hated the character,
person.
and it's what you're supposed to do.
Right. And again, like we've seen some smaller characters where we've applauded this. They weren't even big enough to be a supporting actor, and we've applauded how well they did, because it would have been so easy to just turn the character into a caricature versus making it seem like a real flesh and blood person. So you can also thank the screenplay and the writing of Anurag Kashyap and the collaborative team, but the acting of the dad.
Yeah,
I believed
Ronit Roy.
His name. Absolutely believed that this family existed. This was a father and son with a little brother that became part of the family because his dad got married.
And that little boy was adorable.
The uncle was the uncle.
Oh, his name, say it right here. Ramit Kapoor.
Just a great cast.
He did great.
Did a great job. That the scene between the brothers toward the end, when he was telling him, don't send the little guy off to boarding school. And that was also writing. Just great writing, great direction. We mentioned this a lot. My favorite styles of directing is just let things be.
It felt very similar to like a Malayalam, the Kambalaji Nights, just fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Kind of just let it happen.
And not nearly as pretty, but it didn't need to be.
No, I think it made itself grittier.
I think it needed to be to convey the starkness of what this young guy was living in. Because when you're living in a situation like this, the entire spectrum of your world looks flat. You know, from his perspective, when you're living in a state of your life that feels hopeless and oppressed and you can't get out of it and that your dreams won't come true, that whole template of your life is everything's flat and colorless. I have nothing to say about the film. I thought the music was extremely beautiful.
It just makes sense. It's Amit Trivedi did the music for it.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
It does make sense.
The music behind it was just so fitting. And so simple.
And the little guy, I believed that little guy the whole time. I believed the relationship between the two.
Yeah, this film got you immersed in that world pretty quickly.
Pretty quick.
And you're like, I believe where we are right now. I believe this family. I believe these friends. And it was just, it broke your heart in a lot of places. The fact that the dad was just like, no, you're not going to be a writer, which I feel like is, like we saying to India, a very personal thing. A lot of dads were like, no, you can't pursue that. There's no money in art. There's no money in acting. There's no money in writing. There's no money in whatever you want to, artistic that you want to do.
Right.
You have to become an engineer.
Right.
Or a doctor or whatever.
Right.
And I feel like that's a very personal story for a lot of people from India.
Huge. And it is here too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a universal story, but we know that it's a really big deal in India. And
I'm quite sad that do they not have a child protective services in India?
I don't know.
Because they needed to be called.
Oh yeah, they needed to be called.
Like my wife was saying, she watched it with us, and she said if a kid shows up with he's injured, like if he fell down the stairs, they immediately suspect that
here in the U.S.
it was the parents that did it, and so you're going to be interrogated about like what actually happened. And they're going to ask a whole bunch of different questions because they want to make sure you're not the one hurting this child.
Correct.
And so if there's not, I'm hoping there's something that will be, because you can't do that to a kid.
No, it's a big deal.
Right when that happened, when he missed out on that big business deal.
Yeah.
And he was going to get his son. I was like, oh God, he's going to kill his son.
Yeah.
And then you were like, oh, did he finally repent? But no, he didn't repent. He was just, I guess, didn't want to get in trouble. And that's why he was which is why it was great writing.
Yeah, great writing. Very believable. And I love the hypocrisy of him, needing to beat the kid running and doing push-ups, but he smokes like a chimney and drinks like an alcoholic. But there's the primary message of the thing. There was a line that the brother, the uncle, said to the dad when he said that every dad wants his son to grow up and be like him. I audibly said to the TV screen, no. Dads, if you're doing that, please stop.
That's actually the opposite of what I want.
Thank you. Two things
I've said many times, I hope he's like you.
Two things that I've wanted for my kids, and I remember this for my son as well. I remember thinking that my son might love baseball because my dad loved baseball and I loved baseball, and baseball's been a deep connection for my dad and I. And I saw he was a left-hander very young, so I'm like, oh, he's a lefty. And then when he started to get tall, I'm like, he's going to be a tall left-hander. And he took to basketball first. I'm like, that's fine. And then when I introduced him to baseball, he liked it. He played Little League, but he wasn't like me as a kid saying, Dad, let's go have a catch. Let's go play stickball. Let's go play baseball. You want to watch the baseball game? I was like freaking addicted to movies and baseball. Micah could take it or leave it. Mm-hmm. And for me, I didn't need him to be me and my dad. It was just another thing where I looked at him and went, wow, this little guy, he's his own dude. What's going to come up? What's going to be his thing? And the competitiveness too. If you're a dad who doesn't want your kid to exceed you, to be bigger, stronger, faster, smarter, happier, I don't understand that. I don't understand that. And I also don't understand I can comprehend something, which is this. I can comprehend parents who had a rough time and sacrificed, and they had parents who did that, and they have high expectations for their kids and they want the best for them. And they really believe that if they don't follow this path, it's going to suck. However, if that's not what floats the kid's boat, and there's a lot of parents who would disagree with this statement, I would rather my kid be poor and unsuccessful, but living the life they felt they were supposed to live and be happy.
Yeah.
Because when all is said and done, that's what's going to matter.
Yeah, I feel very blessed in that I never felt pressure to go
be
in any
anything?
different direction.
Yeah.
From any of my parents.
Yeah,
I have
me
4
too.
sets. One's in the
Thank
military.
God.
I'm sure my dad would have wished I would have went into the military.
Would have loved it.
Yeah, but no, I never felt any pressure. My brother, he's a theater major, so clearly they don't care what he does.
Not just a theater major, but he likes what kind of theater, my friend? Musical theater.
Yes, and that's his major, so
Yeah.
you know that's a worthless degree. But they let him do it.
Because he loves it.
Yeah, and so it's I feel very blessed, but it was great writing in the fact that the dad became his dad. And at the beginning, the kid was treating the younger kid like the dad
Yes,
treated
he
him.
was.
And then it was great to see him grow. And what he said at the end, he was like, I love my little brother who I didn't even know I had.
Yeah, and I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Did you see the end coming?
Yeah.
I actually thought, you know what I thought the end was going to be?
I thought, well, actually, for a while, once I knew he was leaving, I was like, he's going to come back and he's going to take him. For a while, I thought it was going to end like Dead Poets Society.
Thank you. And if you haven't seen Dead Poets Society, we're not going to say another word.
Yeah, go see it.
That is exactly what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going almost the whole time.
Me too.
So it was a nice surprise.
Nice surprise.
It didn't, but I did see once that happened, I was like, he's going to take the kid as well.
I loved the returning of the watch.
Yeah.
And he did it in a way that wasn't spitting in your face. It was a very...
He was much nicer than I would have been.
much nicer.
Oh, I would have hit that man so many times.
I loved when he hit him.
Yeah.
And then I loved the foot race at the end, and he can't catch him. But for those, any of you watching this, okay, I'm sure you get the same thing. I've gotten a lot of messages from stupid babies over the past year. And there's a lot of you who are out there and watch, who are living in what this movie depicts. And all I can tell you is, and I've said this over and over again to so many stupid babies who've said, I don't know what to do. I want to go in this direction. My family either totally objects, or if they found out I wanted to do that I'd be disowned. What do I do? Or I'm just going through this hard time. I have this awful relationship. I wish I had this relationship with my dad. All I can tell you to help you get through those seasons is that every season changes. And one of my favorite things to say is that even the darkest, coldest winter, no matter how dark and cold it feels, it's inevitable. That season is gonna change. It may not feel like it's gonna change, but there's gonna come an opportunity that it's gonna change. And the reality is that instrument of change is probably gonna have to be you. You're not gonna be able to wait for a circumstance to just come and be your deliverance. Like the lyrics of the song at the end, it says, freedom isn't just given to you. Most freedoms have to be fought for. They're not just given to you. I know a particular person right now, his age, 17, who needs to become the lion, not be the cub, and actually needs to say to mom and dad, I am an adult and you need to treat me like one now.
Yeah.
And there's a way to do that, and it's like crossing a line of being respectful or not, but you sometimes have to fight for your freedoms. So, yeah.
Also, this is a very, I think any American could watch this and get it.
100%.
Like, this is one of the most digestible. Like, if we did a list, I think this would be it's definitely in the top 5. I don't know where it would place. I'd have to think. But
I would say it's probably the most digestible.
Because there's no bad quality in it. There's no bad acting in it. There's no bad writing. I think they can understand even the cultural differences.
Yeah, I think the cultural differences are so minimal.
I think that goes to speak to Anya Kashyap's writing.
Yeah.
He's so good at it. And so this is just, I could recommend this to anybody just as a film. If this wasn't one of the nominations, the submissions for the Oscars in 2010, I don't know what was for India.
I actually think this was submitted.
Was this submitted?
I think this was submitted, rightly so.
I'd be interested to see what won over it, because man, because this is a film that could win.
Yeah.
This is one of those that's
It's a great movie.
overcoming some stereotypes in India that a lot of people feel the pressure of, and so I think it would have done very well. I don't know what one, so you'll have to let us know that. But phenomenal movie,
Great movie.
go see it.
Great movie, great acting, great writing, great directing.
Yeah, there's really I'm trying to think of a nitpick, and
I don't have one. Yeah,
all the kids were great.
Yeah, there's nothing I can nitpick.
Which is hard to say about a film.
I would love, I love it when I see cinematography. Like, there's moments in 1917 where I went, how did they do that shot? I love it when that happens. This doesn't need that.
No, I actually
At all.
what the gritty
Yes.
filter they had over it.
The gritty, flat,
I liked it a lot.
everything was believable. Everything felt like it was genuinely motivated. There was no performing. I believed the relationships. It tied itself up without being a fairy tale.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic movie.
How are they drinking at 17? Because I know at least some parts of India, the drinking age is like 25.
It's a good question because he'd have been carded here in the States.
Yeah.
No question.
Also, don't drink and drive.
Yeah, don't drink and drive. That's a bad thing.
Okay.
And
let us know what we should watch and review next. This was a phenomenal film. Go on Twitter because I do polls there.
He does doo-doo. And dads, love your sons and your daughters. Just love your kids, would you?
Unless you're Rick.
And unless your kid's like Corbin, then all bets are off.